Former FBI Director James Comey now facing federal charges. Trump calls it justice. Comey says bring on the trial. Plus, new Trump tariffs kicking in October 1st. From drugs to furniture, what it will cost. And Tik Tok gets a new lease in America. China cut down, U.S. investors step in. The stories that matter, clear and credible. From across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. We begin with that stunning development out of Washington. A grand jury has indicted former FBI Director James Comey. It's a story we flagged for you yesterday here, and now it's official. The Justice Department charging Comey with making false statements and obstruction in what some see as an extraordinary escalation in President Trump's push to prosecute his political enemies. Prosecutors say Comey lied during 2020 congressional testimony about the FBI's investigation into Trump's 2016 campaign and Russia. The indictment was rushed through before the statute of limitations was set to expire next week. The move follows weeks of pressure from Trump, who fired the U.S. attorney overseeing the case after he declined to bring charges. Trump then installed his former personal attorney, Lindsay Halligan, as the new top prosecutor in Virginia. On Truth Social last night, Trump called the indictment, quote, justice in America. Hours before the indictment dropped, reporters pressed the president on the case. Here's what he had to say.
I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. But I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, in a post on X, said, no one is above the law. The indictment reflects this Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. Just one night before the indictment, Bondi was at the White House dining with President Trump in the Rose Garden. The image posted online shows Bondi seated with Trump and other allies. Comey answered with a defiant message of his own, insisting he's innocent.
Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
U.S. District Judge Michael Nachmanoff, a Biden appointee, was tapped to oversee this case last night. President Trump is rolling out a new round of tariffs targeting everything from prescription drugs to furniture. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said starting next Wednesday, October 1st, the U.S. will impose a 100% tariff on imported branded drugs, a 25% tariff on imports of all heavy-duty trucks, 50% tariffs on kitchen cabinets and bathroom vanities, and 30% for upholstered furniture. He claims the truck tariff will protect manufacturers from, quote, unfair outside competition. He says cabinet and furniture imports have surged to levels that are damaging American companies. The president is also threatening to expand the list, including new tariffs on lumber and semiconductors. Now to a highly unusual directive from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, ordering hundreds of U.S. generals and admirals to drop everything and assemble next week at Quantico, Virginia. And still, no one knows why. The Washington Post was first to report the order went to every commander with the rank of brigadier general or above, 07 through 010, along with their senior enlisted advisors. That's potentially more than 1,000 of the military's top leaders pulled from posts from around the world. According to the Washington Post, the order states, quote, all general officers in command in grade 07 through 010 and their general officer senior enlisted advisors are directed to attend within operational constraints. The meeting is set for Tuesday at a Marine base in Virginia. The Pentagon says Hegseth will address his senior military leaders, but offered no agenda. It comes amid a string of high-profile firings and Hegseth's push to rebrand the Pentagon as the Department of War. Critics inside and outside the military call it unprecedented, dangerous, and possibly political. Officials worry about security risks of putting so many top commanders in one room. Others tell the Post the surprise summit could signal more purges at the highest ranks. This morning, a manhunt that began on Memorial Day weekend is over. Suspected child killer Travis Decker is now confirmed dead. Investigators say DNA matched Decker to remains found last week near Leavenworth, Washington. He had been on the run since May when authorities believe he took his 3 daughters, ages 5, 8, and 9, camping, then suffocated them. Searchers found his body less than a mile from where his daughters, Olivia, Evelyn, and Peyton, were discovered. The coroner is still trying to determine the time and cause of death. Police had scoured the Cascade Mountains for months with dogs, drones, and dive teams, but found nothing until last week. Decker's ex-wife says he was homeless at the time and struggling with the personality disorder. Tik Tok is here to stay. President Trump has signed an executive order clearing the way for the app to be controlled by U.S. investors. The move comes months after a ban on the Chinese-owned app, initiated under the Biden administration, was set to take effect. Under the new agreement, TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, will hold less than 20% of the platform. The remaining 80% will go to a group of U.S. investors, meeting the qualified divestiture required by federal law. Trump says Oracle's Larry Ellison will have a big role in the deal. Tech entrepreneur Michael Dell and media mogul Rupert Murdoch are also involved, though it's not clear yet who all of the investors will be. It's Friday, so let's turn to your comments and questions from YouTube. This is Straight From You, where we fact-check your questions and break down what's true, what's not, and what's somewhat murky. All right, here's what stood out this week. First up, Jimmy Kimmel. One viewer writes that his suspension was not Trump's call. It came from his network. So here's the deal. Disney pulled Kimmel after his remarks on the killing of Charlie Kirk, and some affiliates preempted him as well. Legal scholars tell the AP the First Amendment bars government censorship, not private employers, though. Networks can legally suspend programming. But the debate heated up when FCC Chair Brendan Carr warned that stations could face agency action. The FCC Commissioner, Anna Gomez, called that contrary to the First Amendment. Kimmel is back on the air, as you know, but not everywhere. Some affiliates still are not carrying him, and the FCC is signaling more scrutiny ahead. Next, a health question. A viewer wanted to know if there's a safer option than Tylenol during pregnancy. Timely topic, right? Acetaminophen, the main ingredient in Tylenol, remains the default. The CDC and the FDA call it the safest choice if taken in low doses, short-term, and under medical guidance. Some studies link heavy use to developmental conditions, but experts say those show association, not proof. Other factors like genetics may explain the risk. As for alternatives, ibuprofen and naproxen are not recommended, especially later in pregnancy. Bottom line, most doctors still see Tylenol as the best over-the-counter option, but as always, check with your provider. Finally, a question about the Gaza flotilla. One viewer said that if drones were actually striking the boats, they'd be sunk. Not necessarily. So here's what we found. Activists, including Greta Thunberg, say the drones were about intimidation, calling them scare tactics. Reports describe 13 explosions near vessels south of Greece, jammed radios blasting ABBA songs, and objects dropped on deck. The result, damaged sails and equipment, shaken crews, but no boats did in fact sink. And there were no casualties. Italy and Spain took it seriously, though, enough to dispatch Navy ships for rescue operations. Israel has not claimed responsibility, but insists aid should go through its ports. All right, hope this helps. Keep dropping those questions and comments, and we'll tackle the biggest ones again next week. Hey, skip the drama, skip the rumors, just wake up smarter. Sign up for our Unbiased Updates newsletter. Go to san.com/newsletters. Those are your Unbiased Updates for this Friday. We'll see you back here next week. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a fantastic weekend.